Cloud. Awesome. So welcome everyone. Happy Thursday. So if we go to the next slide. So today is a special day because it's a day when I want to make sure that I share some of the proven systems I've discovered in my life. Personally, I worked for LinkedIn for 3 years as a managing director, coaching C-levels on how to elevate their brand authority. And my sector was financial services, so working with some of the biggest brands because they were privacy and compliance focused and very sensitive to everything they put online because they were liable by their shareholders. So I take it very, very seriously when people give me like the mandate to help them build their brand authority and become a thought leader online to represent their business because there's a lot of different ramifications that we need to be aware. So the core focus of today, we're going to talk about how to come from best kept secret in your company or even in your own startup or in your own venture or other company you work in to be able to elevate your voice. And fun fact for me, English is my third language. So imagine if you had to post in your third language every single day. And that was the challenge, exciting challenge that I took on. French was my first, Creole the second one, because I'm originally from Haiti, but born and raised in Canada, first generation Canadian. So, but no, it's not, today's not about me. It's about how to make sure that you go from best kept secret to brand authority. What are the systems that work? What have I observed and how can I help? So if we go to the next slide, we're going to jump in. For all of you who are very fierce and however you look like, whatever your business is, there's a way to be able to elevate your brand authority. Oftentimes, what we discovered at LinkedIn is that people are more interested in people than the brand, the company, and spending a lot of time advising CXOs. They were surprised to have more traction on their personal profile than their company page. That's why when you talk about elevating your company's brand authority or elevating your brand authority, it always starts with yourself first, then elevating your business through your stories and through your footprint, and then lifting up your community because you cannot do it alone. You can post in the void, but it's important when you enter in that journey that you think about who's your community, who's your ideal customer, but also people who have complementary interests or are interested in a similar journey or a similar path you're on. So if we go to the next one, and I like the pink lion because I think everybody comes with their own perspective, experience, and mindset. And what's exciting is to be able to tell your unique story online. So what you're going to be learning today is first how to stop to become the best kept secret, stop being the best kept secret and discover your real X factor and how to bring it to life. Secondly, how to elevate your professional authority. So all those years of experience, some of us it's 20 years, 15, 30 years, however the years, there's a lot of stories and gold nuggets that can help you be paid for your expertise, whether you're coming from inside a company or outside a company. And then thirdly, that's the best part. It's when your brand authority and the machine that you started is starting to be very well oiled, you start attracting opportunity. And I'm going to say true visibility because we're going to talk about metrics. We're going to talk about performance metrics. People talk about likes, comment, etc. A lot of the contracts I've gotten, 5, 6 figure contracts, were all coming from people who never liked, who never commented on my LinkedIn. So I think that's why it's important to think about what is the long-term objective that you have with elevating your brand authority. And that's where we start. As one of the writer in philosophy that I love so much from the Barbados, his name is Neville Goddard. He said, always start with the end in mind. And I think it's important to start with what is the bigger goal that you have for your brand, for your business? Is it generating a certain income? Is it being able to service a certain group of customers? So we'll talk about that a little bit more. So let's go to the next one. Good days. I had the pleasure of being able to ring the bell at the NASDAQ back in 2024 when I was working at LinkedIn directly in New York. And what's more important than that is that the rules of a career success have changed. And a lot of us are seeing, and also LinkedIn publishes the economic report based on its economic graph, which is a crystal ball that explains all the trends in terms of the future of work based on the 1.2 billion members on the platform. So the rules of a career success have changed, and there's a lot of AI disruption. Not that AI is disrupting the world of work, but the leaders have decided that they want to be able to tap into and leverage AI for productivity purposes, etc. There's a lot of corporate restructuring that's happening as well. From my perspective, when I spent 20 years in corporate, back when I was at Google for 10 years and a half, we're growing at 30 to 40% year over year in terms of sales numbers. So we would overhire at 30 to 40%. And when we're looking at some of the cuts that are happening, is that we always projected headcount based on growth, but the growth has changed, the world has changed, and now a lot of people are restructuring their companies for different reasons, but that's not the goal of today. And then we talked about AI, we talk about automation, but also there's rising competition because now that you can build your one person company, now that you can do economies of scale, so how can you go faster and how can you be leaner in elevating your own company? So if we go to the next one. So many talented professionals are stuck or invisible. A lot of people are dreaming, but how do you take action? I work with different people who are like, I want to do this, I want to do this, but when it's time to take action, there's always a little bit of a challenge. So what's the goal of today is really to look at the amazing work that you do and then figure out how do we bring it online and how do we do it on a platform that's extremely important, which is LinkedIn, because that's where the highest net worth individuals are. So I'm going to ask you a question. What do you think, how high do you think of the net worth can you identify on LinkedIn? And it's a bit of a trick question if you're not in advertising. Okay, let me just ask for a more simple question. So what do you think you can target in terms of household income on other platforms than LinkedIn? Ian, Sarah, feel free to jump in as well. Jade, who joined us as well. Eric, Janelle. Okay, I'll give the answer. So on most platforms, you can target up to $150,000 of household income. So basically, let's say you want to target people who have deeper pockets. You can say, okay, I have a segment. I'm going to target people who have $150,000 in household income. On LinkedIn, you can go to a million, you can go to 10 million, etc. Why? Because that's the highest net worth platform and social network. Basically, we have the founders, we have the CXOs, we have all of the CXOs on the platform who have deeper pockets. And that's why the platform it's also a platform play, because if you're able to tell the right story to people with influence and decision-making power, then it can change the game for your business. So, and that's why we stop being anonymous. We want to make sure that we become an authority. Let's go to the next slide. And then Jade said, not sure a benchmark. Yeah. I think the benchmark would be that most platforms you can get to up to $150,000 in household income. On LinkedIn, you can tap into $1 million plus type of net worth. So now, question for you, why you're here today? Is it to build your brand authority and become the go-to expert? Is it to launch or grow your business? Is it to advance your career in corporate? Or is it to pivot? And if you want to put in the chat if it's a pivot, if it's advancing your career, if it's growing your business, you can say business, or it's just pure brand authority. Okay, build brand authority, amazing. It's a couple of things. Grow your business. There's no wrong answer, by the way.
Well, I can give you a quick synopsis of the pretty entertaining why I'm here. But
Tell me.
um, so I run a couple of startups, and link I always knew I needed to be more present on LinkedIn, but I was busy building all the time. I went silent for about 5 months, and I said, you know what? Now with AI, I need to be able to automate this thing. And what drove me to you was that a lot of what you're talking about here, and I haven't seen the whole thing, but I get it, is how we built our tool to automate that authority and position, so you're always visible.
Mhm.
And I'm a guy that's not out there. I'm usually, again, in the computers building, but so that was super interesting, and I love what you're doing here. And I am not a sales and marketing guy at all or know anything about that area. So I was like, this is perfect to understand, some of the things that you've already shared. But anyways, that's a quick kind of
That's a great
interesting why I'm
story.
here. What's that?
No, thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, no, I think this is great. And I love all the answers in the chat because Janelle said it's a couple, Sarah said it's grow your business, and then Jade said build brand authority, and then Jan, you just shared like all of the above, but automating your brand authority. So we'll talk a bit about automation. So I think there's no wrong answer. I think if we go to the next slide, so building your brand authority, it's gonna help you grow your business faster because people are going to come and become a bit more believers because of you, your brand, your stories, your expertise, and they're going to get to know you. If you want to pivot your career, for example, people who are in a corporation or want to change career, it also helps to rebrand yourself. I've seen people who've done 370 degrees transformations by changing their positioning, and that helps you as well. And then advancing your career, once you have a conversation about your career with your manager, your value, etc., having a clear value proposition, a clear brand authority is going to also help you manage up and really talk about the value that you add every single day. So if we go to the next slide, Silenzi.ai, automation of brand authority. Interesting. That's so good. I've never heard about it. So a little bit more about the work that we do. So I've worked with different brands. I was in financial services, electric vehicles as well. So work with the CXOs of Audi, CMO of Audi, based in Germany, Bale, Citi, Ripple, Brex. Some of these, I mean, most of these are in financial services or the auto sector. They're heavily regulated industries. So they're very careful about what they talk about online and how they position themselves. And some of them, like you see the Web3 players, they're always in the press as well. So we had to tread very carefully in terms of how do these brands talk about their brand authority and executives, not with pure automation because they have to go and curate and make sure that everything is accurate as well. And that's why I think the automation portion was important. We want to add a filter, a human filter to everything that we do and say. Otherwise, the AI is going to bring you and make you say things that you don't really want to say. So that's my caveat. If we go to the next slide. Some of the CMOs we work with, Visa and Mastercard, two of them became Forbes' most influential CMOs. Amazing work. And even one of them was not posting for 9 months, spent 9 months figuring out how he was going to show up on the platform. And that's Frank Cooper 3. And now is simply amazing. If we go to the next slide as well. And then what are some proof points of brand authority? So what I want to say to everyone is that you just have to start somewhere. Like I spent most of my career being heads down, chipping away a little bit like what you said, Jan. You said, oh, I was just too busy growing startups. I was too busy 2xing my book of business, getting to 100 millions and then $1 billion at Google. So I was heads down. I didn't know what to do on LinkedIn. I would just go post about, oh, I'm hiring or blah, 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 and then run away because I was very self-conscious and I didn't know how to do it. So I created something that helps someone like me back in the days, and I tried different things, and nobody really was able to understand how self-conscious I was or how I was the best kept secret, and I was not externally, people didn't know about me externally. So it took me 12 months to be able to 6x my presence on LinkedIn to 53,000 followers, to go from like invisible to top 1% on LinkedIn. And then the category where I thrive, and this where the screenshot is coming from, is top 17% globally in productivity. And why it's important is just a measure. It's not like, it's just to understand like what is your progress and what is the journey. And the journey of building your brand authority is a journey of 10,000 steps. And that's the key message. It's not going to happen in one day. It's going to take time. Some posts are not going to be perfect. You might make mistakes as well, but it's just sticking up to the journey. Let's go to the next one. So my journey to 6x brand is what is exciting is that I did it. We talk about LinkedIn a lot. LinkedIn is great, but there's also all the platforms. Could be I had a podcast as well. I did TV appearances and others. And for me, I think the return I was looking for was really to be able to grow my business, but also to have paid speaking engagements, which is also part of growing your brand. So being paid to speak in Europe, Africa, Canada, and the US, being part of TV shows as well. That was an ambition. Everybody here has different ambitions. Put in the chat if you have different goals that are other than just growing your business. And you can be specific if you want, and we'll talk about it in the Q&A. If we go to the next one, I think in terms of growing a brand from scratch, from being the best kept secret, I went really all in 2025 and talked about how I built my podcast from scratch And for me, it was not about the number because I was not even aware of that, but it's being next to people that I respect, like Cody Sanchez, who has the Big Deal podcast, etc. So let's go to the next one. I'm going to speed it up so we can go a bit more on the nitty-gritty and tactical, because I know many of you are going to be interested in knowing more about it. So we can go to the next one after that. Now, so this a story I really love is the story of Bozoma St. John because it really shows how a brand can compound over time. And she's really an example of a top professional that understood one thing is that authority is going to create a lot of opportunities, whatever you're looking for. Some people it's partnership, some people it's visibility, some people it's sales, leverage, promotions, etc. If we go to the next one, we're going to see how Bozoma St. John, who's an American businesswoman, she started back in 2000. So it's a journey of 20 years as a senior account executive at Spike Lee's company, then Pepsi Cola, then evolved to Apple, and then being the chief brand officer at Uber, CMO at Netflix, and then launching a book, which is the ultimate brand authority play, and then now launching a company and having multiple TV shows, being in The Real Housewife, where she's telling a story of having a child and getting ready to have a child at 49 years old in reality TV, but also now she has a TV show on brand with Jimmy Fallon. So if you look at where she started as a senior account executive in sales to having her own show with Jimmy Fallon, it's this is really a story of 10,000 steps of how she made strategic moves in her career. In parallel to that, she always took the time to tell her story on different platforms. And that's a compounding effect of playing it right. Now, maybe you're like, I don't have 20 years. Yeah, you don't have 20 years. So that's why we're going to talk about how do we make sure that we accelerate your path. Next slide. Another story that I really like, it's about when people want to do career pivots or redefine themselves or rebrand themselves. That's a great example. So my dad is around 80 years old and he wears Old Spice. And just saying Old Spice, I hear the smell. I hear the smell. I smell the smell of Old Spice. And for me, it was always associated to older demographics. So what I like about the story of Old Spice is how they analyze the data, and that's what we're going to do with your LinkedIn. Look at the data, understand your audience, understand who's your ideal customer, and figure out how do we position you accordingly. So with Old Spice, they discovered that 60% of the product was bought by women. Because they knew it was women, they were not going to put a woman on a horse. They said, we're going to put a man on the horse, and he's going to talk to the ladies, and he's going to influence the ladies to buy Old Spice because that's going to make their men smell like a man. And in brackets, sexy. Yes, Jade, it's very hilarious. And what's amazing with that, it's not just the sales number of 1,000% growth and increased sales, but it's really the shift in positioning. And I think that's what's important because the commonality between both St. John and Smell Like a Man campaign from Old Spice is that you have a reality in front of you and you can change the reality by pivoting the story, changing the angle based on the data that you have at hand in your LinkedIn, but also in your business and what you know about your business. So, Old Spice, great job. We can do it for many people. And sometimes when I run this masterclass, people ask me, how do I pivot my LinkedIn? I have friends, they just start posting on a totally different topic suddenly, and then you're like, okay, you've made a pivot. And that creates a new followership, and we'll talk about it. We'll talk about content pillars as well, how you can talk about different topics that are relevant to your audience. So, next slide. Now, we talked about your uniqueness, so it's not a liability, it's not a liability, it's your leverage. So when we think about Bose, she was told that she was loud and she was very different, but she said, no, if you think I'm going to be loud, I'm going to be louder. And that's what made her be where she is today, standing out in the world and ready for the world of AI, where a lot of brands and people are going to become a bit more commoditized. So let's go to the next slide. So what is the brand authority framework? So there's three pillars that we work on with our executives when we work with them and our leaders. So the first pillar is around what is your narrative power? What is your story? What are the stories from your origin stories, your hero stories, even your setback stories that define who you are and the value you deliver? Why did you launch the business that you launched? What brought you to that journey? And that's going to be important in what you're going to be posting and writing online. The second pillar is around strategic visibility. So, how do we position your expertise where the right people can see you? If you're a real estate agent selling to real estate agents, so how do you make sure that you reach them? Also, what are the afferent types of topics, the complementary niches where you should interact with? And I'm going to share some data that you're going to see about the top creators and how they're able to break through in that ecosystem. And the third one is the opportunity ecosystem. What is, because we talked about community, and it's important to have a community because you're not in this on your own. And it's easier to build with your tribe when you're trying to elevate your brand authority. So, what is the opportunity ecosystem? Well, the opportunity ecosystem is all the relationships that are strategic, that will help multiply your reach and your impact. And I'll talk a bit more about the collaborations that I make and how it influences the opportunities that come to me. Next slide. Now, the narrative power, and that's the portion that excites me the most, is that everybody comes in different shapes and sizes, and you can triple down on what makes you unique. And that's you're going to be able to find the customer that's going to be attracted to your uniqueness, but it's also going to be a risk because you're going to put yourself out there. So if we go to the next slide. So how does it work? So when I look at working with people as a group or one-on-one around their brand authority, we look at how do we set the foundations? There's a formula. First is understanding who do you help? I help X achieve Y by doing Z. So can you put in the chat if you already know what is your X, Y, and Z? For example, in practice, what it looks like, it's I help organizations scale innovation through AI strategy. One of my customers, she has a PhD in ethics and AI, and she helps organizations globally, she's based in Europe, scale their AI through the right frameworks for AI ethics. It's a little bit complicated what she does, but she's been able to do it and position herself strategically so much that she's now a board advisor for multiple companies because she's highly in demand. But when we worked together, she was like, I need to find new customers. And I said, what do you do? And it was very complicated, did not understand what she was doing, very hard to articulate. And we're able to boil it back down to something very simple. And then she was able to have board advisory roles. And then she came back to me. She's like, Kathleen, I'm out of capacity. Well, I think it's a good place to be in. So I'm going to put it in the chat. I help X achieve Y by doing Z. And if you want to doodle on your side, think about what it is. Jade is like, I help nonprofits level up their fundraising strategies. That's very, very clear. And I would even ask you by doing what, right? So how do you help them? And then, anyway, think about it. Who do you serve? What outcomes you create? And what is your unique approach? So, who do you serve? What outcomes do you create? And what is your unique approach? Those are the three questions I want you to think about as we move to the next slide. JD's going to doodle on that. Okay, I help luxury brands achieve customer loyalty by creating immersive art activation. That seems like a fun job. It seems like an amazing job.
It is.
Exciting.
Hard,
Yeah.
but it is.
Yeah, and then I don't know, I'm seeing a lot of things in terms of luxury in France and Paris and etc. We'll talk about it a little bit later because we're gonna have a lot of time to be able to ask questions and you can share your LinkedIn, etc. So your brand authority hub. So when we work together, we look at different things. So what are the foundations of your brand authority? We talked about the statement, I help X achieve Y by doing Z. But what else? The first thing is what is your unique value proposition? Why would people come to you? What is unique about your expertise? What can nobody replicate? Because before you want to automate your LinkedIn, which I don't necessarily recommend, you can automate the systems so that you can produce and reach, but we want to make sure that you are unique. You are you. Secondly, something that's very important is to have your own unique voice. And that's going to help you stand out because LinkedIn, and it's so funny because LinkedIn a couple of years ago started enabling AI for premium members. Like they want us to write with AI, etc. But now the algorithm, and we'll talk about it a little bit more, is punishing you if you're using too much AI in your text. So you have to create a unique voice. And some of the things I try to do is I try not to be cheesy, but always put one sentence in French. so that I have some kind of signature. So it's your unique voice is figuring out what are your speaking and writing patterns that make you uniquely you. Are you more of a Albert Camus or Ernest Hemingway? So what is going to be your own style when you write? And that's important because people will come back to that. And then what are your origin stories? Where are you coming from? And what brought you in the perspective of like what brought you to do what you do. And some of the stories could be also case studies. So you see the blue bubble here, you see case studies, and then what are the brand authority assets you're going to develop based on your UVP, your voice, your origin stories, and your case studies. And then lastly, but really more importantly, and something that a lot of executives just post and goes, they post and they run away, is community. And it is important because I'm going to give you an example, but I'm going to share some stats from the top creators. 50% of my traffic comes from me commenting. Yeah. So if you're not commenting, if you don't have a community, I don't know how you're going to be able to reach your people. And that's what a lot of people miss. And we'll talk a bit more about that. Let's go to the next slide. So when we look at measuring, so when we start, we do a brand authority footprint, we look at measuring how we're going to grow your brand authority, you look at your influence, and we talked about the screenshot I showed where I went from bottom 90% to top 1% globally on LinkedIn. It just tells us, and why does it matter? It just tells us, are you making progress? Are we able to increase your influence or is it getting worse? Secondly, we look at marketability and fit. So in your niche, how do you position yourself against the other entrepreneurs in your niche, or the other luxury activator in your niche, etc. And then what is the fit with the audience that you're trying to offer and reach? And then third, we look at social proof. What proves me that what you do actually works? Do you have testimonials? Do you have case studies? Do you have what is the footprint? And then number four is what are the results, right? For me, I have something that I call as the hit song strategy. Is you want to have your accomplishments and your UVP, your unique value proposition, be framed as a hit song. And what it means is that tell me what's your favorite song or a song that's like you think you can't stop thinking about right now. I'll tell you mine. Put in the chat. What is one hit song that keeps that's top of mind for you or that you really love? I'm gonna sip on some water. Okay, Ian. Do you say Ian or Ian? I'm I don't want to butcher your name.
No, it's okay. Ian.
Ian, awesome. So Ian helps people, professionals and companies build authority and brand visibility, not go silent or disappear with built-in voice rules and AI authority engine. That's so exciting. Yeah,
Uh,
hit song Jade, hit song like, oops, I did it again. So that's an example. Let me be from the second voice. Awesome. Jade was ready. I like instrumentals. That's great too. A good no, it's not boring. I grew up listening to Chopin. I mean, my dad forced me to play Chopin, but then I really loved it. So it's a bit harder to sing. I'm boring. You're not. I think about I Love You Like a Love Song from Selena Gomez. I love it a lot. I don't know why. And I recently discovered the video and I think it's so I love all things FJK. Who's FJK? Who's FJK? Okay, mystery. Janelle will tell us later. So, and why we're talking about a hit song is that we want to be so clear when I talk about Janelle, Jade, Ian, Eric, that your value proposition is so clear that I said Ian helps brands not go silent by developing automated brand authority with AI. Here we go. See, he's been marketing himself very, very well. Because I'm already repeating his value prop. Okay, let's go to the next one. No worries, Janelle. Thanks for being here. Let's talk about strategic visibility. So we don't want to be just loud and scream and shout to the rooftops, even though now we're going to talk about the LinkedIn stats and the platform is getting very crowded. But we want to do it in a way that people are very enticed to do business with us. And that's going to be the power of a good story compounding over time. Janelle is always be selling. I got you. I spent 20 years, but 13 specifically selling $100 million deals. Not in real estate, but advertising. So invisible versus visible. I think if you're here, you already understand that being visible is the way to do it, and that many of us are coming from doing great work, but not being seen. And then my goal is to help you find the pathway. ABC, always be closing. Let's go to the next one. So now let's go into LinkedIn. So this is coming from the former vice president of LinkedIn Marketing Solutions. He's now retired or on sabbatical. And what's exciting about LinkedIn, and you're here because you probably heard about this from LinkedIn, and if not, put it in the chat if it was not LinkedIn information. So LinkedIn is the global professional stage. This is where we talked about the fact that there's 1.2 billion professionals on LinkedIn and active members. And it's the highest network group of professionals. I work with investment banking, investment management firms that were targeting people with net worths of $1 million plus. And that's all possible on LinkedIn. That's the platform to do that. There's 65 million decision makers. So this is where all the C-levels, people with decision-making power are, executives, hiring managers, buyers, people who can buy luxury homes, luxury cars, etc. And then there's 40 million job seekers. So people who are active on the platform to find the next opportunity. So LinkedIn, I love LinkedIn and I became obsessed in 2022 when started working there from 2022 to 2025 because it was the ultimate brand authority engine. And I was obsessed with my C-levels trying to become thought leaders. I was like, why do they care so much? It was all about thought leadership. It was all about building community. They were in advance of their time because in 2022, it was very easy to just go on LinkedIn, post whatever you want to post, and then eventually get a lot of traction. Now there's an art and there's a science to LinkedIn. Let's go to the next slide. There's different types of authority content, and I think it's important because all of you are very senior in your field, and it's important to show up in a way that represents what your goals and objectives are. Number one is showing up with insights, so sharing your perspective and on trends, challenges in the industry, but also how you would solve those problems. What are some of the developments? Secondly, what are the lessons that you've learned so turn your professional experiences, your wins, and your setbacks into teaching moments. People want to learn. LinkedIn is a platform where people go to become better, to better themselves, to learn new things. So if they can learn through you, you will increase your following. If it's just pure promotional material, then you might not grow. And that's where there's a value exchange that's very important to talk about. I'm going to give you an example. I have a post that became very, very popular. I said, I remember when 70% of my sales teams didn't want to sell and they didn't want to be in sales. And then second sentence, I said, we still finished number one. And then everybody's like, right? It's like I could have created a very boring post, but the idea of sharing a lesson, but also creating a lot of suspense by saying, I remember when 70% of my team didn't want to sell. First, how did I know? I was a head of sales, managing $1 billion, but I knew people didn't want to sell because I could read it. I had my insider track, but we still finished number one. We still closed a gap of $22 million on that quarter. And that got people energized. From my former team members were like, yeah, this was so fun, so inspiring. But then I shared a method of how do you energize people who don't want to do the job. So, and that's a mystery. You'll have to read that post. And then you can share, the thirdly is industry perspective. What is your bold? Because the boldness helps you stand out in terms of your hook. If you don't have a good hook, nobody's going to click. And then what is your clear point of view of where your field is headed? Right? Are people going to buy tiny homes? Are people going to adopt like communal living? What is the deal? Where is the holy grail in real estate? Where should I live? What should I buy? So we want to become an insider. Let's go to the next slide. Here are some examples of brand authority content, and that's from Amal, who's the ethics AI researcher, very deep knowledge, PhD candidate. When she posts, it's very dense and it's not the influencer type of posting because her goal, she wants to be able to reach board members, she wants to be able to reach C-suite, and that's what they like to read chunky paragraphs with in-depth knowledge. And it's working very, very well for her. And that's what's important when you talk about your unique voice and unique styles. You got to find it. And once you find it, things start growing for you. And I'm not talking about vanity metrics, I'm talking about sales and engagements, paid engagements. That's what I mean. So, secondly, if we go to the next one, we're going to get another type of brand authority content. It's lesson learned. So, I work with Keith, and Keith is a COO. He's also a C-suite coach. And we try to extract a story from his learnings. And he came up with this amazing story, and then we framed it. Again, it's a very dense paragraphs, but people loved it. He said, 10 months ago, I made a difficult decision. I resigned from the Guilford College board. And then you have to click more. Boom. Suddenly there's a lot of suspense. You want to know, why did he resign? Why is he sharing something that's vulnerable? But I think what's interesting, if you read this, it's actually a hero story, but it's framed in a way that creates so much tension, artistic tension, mystery that you want to click to know what happened. And then it's in one of the top performing formats, which is a carousel, which we'll talk about later. Let's go to the next one. Another brand authority content. So this is a post that I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even know why I'm posting this. This is boring. Like Janelle, you think you're boring with your classical music in my Chopin. I created this carousel. I was like, this is boring, but I'm passionate about sales. I'm passionate about helping entrepreneurs and Fortune 5,000 companies grow. So, and some of what I do, I'm also a fractional growth leader, sales and marketing leader for companies, but like mid-size companies, mid-market size. So I published this because I cared about it, and I said founder-led revenue works until it becomes a bottleneck. And I was like, early revenue in most startups come from one single place, the founder. And then I thought it was super boring. Then I was talking to one of my C-levels, and he's like, you know what? I said, how are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm always on the road. I'm feeling overwhelmed. So what's happening? He's like, as you said, founder-led revenue. I'm the bottleneck. And I was like, is he quoting one of my most boring posts? And I think what's important here is sometimes you're gonna post something and you're like, oh, it doesn't work. It's not, it's no. And he didn't like that. He didn't comment on it. He just read it, memorized it, and then when I text him, started quoting myself to myself. And I thought it was creepy, but that's what you want your content to do. Because you want people to read it. You don't want, like, of course, you want the likes and the reposts and stuff, but you want people to read it and then open up the door for a potential engagement or a potential customer. And that is a successful piece according to my ultimate goal, which is sales, but I have different goals. And we talk about the architecture of goals. Let's go to the next one. The opportunity ecosystem. So here it's an example of like 10% of my team when I was at LinkedIn. We all went to a sales conference dressed up in gold. Those things happen. You want to be able to grow with your tribe. Please put in the chat, who is your tribe? And when I mean tribe, like for me, it would be growth marketers, it could be salespeople. I want to hear who's your tribe. So I'm going to put growth marketers. That's one of my tribe. And I'm going to put tribe number one. I would love to hear from you. Who are your tribes? So the people that you're trying to reach out, the people who have affinity with the types of things that you do. So one of my tribes is growth marketers, is salespeople. Another one is mid-career professionals. I'm going to say burgeoning brand authority. Here we go. Sarah said social media influencers and collectors. Ooh, intriguing. Ooh, yeah, let's talk more about this later. Put your tribes in the chat. We're going to speed it up to go into the nitty-gritty of more LinkedIn examples and some of what's important. So the power of strategic alliances. And why I'm talking about tribes is because you can create strategic alliances with your tribe, whether it's mentors, industry peers. Sometimes you think they're competitors, but we're going to talk about how do you create those alliances. Collaborators, I do a lot of collabs. This morning, I was recording for my podcast and with one of my friends, Lewis, we talked about AI in and out, in and out, in and out. So we had 1 hour podcast conversation, and then we just riffed about startup ideas. for another hour. So we became collaborators. We met on LinkedIn and now we collab all the time. And then the other senior leaders, which could be decision makers who can sponsor, who can champion you, who can advocate for you, open doors in your niche. So let's go to the next one. That's why it's important to know who your tribe is, because on LinkedIn, you're going to have to find your tribe, not just your customers, but your tribe. And then when we look about authority and how your brand authority can evolve over time is first we talked about the narrative, talked about the visibility, the opportunities, and then the authority. And it's a flywheel or just concentric circles that can accelerate on its own momentum once it starts spinning. At the beginning, it feels like you're walking in the desert. You're walking in the desert and you're posting, and maybe you're not getting the traction. Tell me here if you're getting the traction that you want. Yes, no, a little. And then we can look at your profiles as well. So let's go to the next one. A little traction. That's good. A little, a lot. So authority can accelerate promotions, authority can accelerate deals, opportunities, deal flow. I recently posted that I had more leads that I can chew. And basically, from my posting now, I'm working, Bianca is on the call, and we have Julie on the call as well. So I had to hire people to help me loop in my CRM to be able to figure out which conversation am I having, because I have conversations a lot on LinkedIn that I was not making sure to close the loop. And now I'm doing a better job at it with the systems and the team, and then IG, and then events, etc. Just having a single view of all the leads when you have a deal flow that's increased is not planning for the deal flow to increase so much. And now I had to course correct to make sure that I can actually follow up with all those people and automate some of the interactions such that everybody is able to get what they want to get and get more. So I was like Janelle, I had a little traction and then suddenly exploded. And I was like, oh my God, I need to build a system. And then now I build a system. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, we talked about consulting opportunities, partnership clients. And sometimes, listen, on LinkedIn, sometimes you have to stand out because it's very competitive. And we'll look at some of the stats of how the platform makes it harder now to stand out. And sometimes it's going to be as extreme as standing up in a woman dinner when I didn't need to stand up, but I wanted to. And it becomes a muscle. You become so comfortable with standing out. Let's get to the next one. And authority also enables career pivots. This is an example of Paola. She works at Accenture and she wanted to move from digital marketing to the digital cloud. And she went into the accelerator, she tried to figure out what is her positioning. We worked on a plan with Paola, and then within 6 weeks, she moved to the cloud because she had conversations with people within Accenture, and that created a ripple effect of authority that a partner came to her and said, I heard you want to move to the cloud. I have roles open and I don't have any candidates. Do you want to join my team? So we want that for many of you. It's you want to have new partnerships, new clients, new signed contracts. And Paola was like, I'm overwhelmed. I didn't think it was going to happen so quickly. And that's why we have to talk about the systems when actually what you're looking for happens, such that you can really take on this, tackle this challenge and opportunity that comes because you want to be able to close effectively. Paola decided to take one assignment. She didn't transition fully into the digital cloud at Accenture because she wanted to know if she wanted to make sure that she was going to like it. So let's move on to the next one. Now your identity, and if you join some of the programs that we have a weekend intensive, we also have like a 10-week accelerator. It's gonna stretch you because your identity is gonna shift. Whether you're somebody who likes to be vocal and out there, or if you don't, or you like to spend hours rewriting. So it's gonna expand. And once you're at the other side, you're gonna be able to, like now I create posts from the hairdresser, 2 to 5 posts while I'm doing my hair. And I have a system to be able to refine them over time. All my posts are scheduled 5 days in advance. And that's how I'm able to spend time closing and having other conversations than just writing content. Let's go to the next one. Okay, yeah. So that's important because first you need a strategy to build your brand authority. You need to be consistent. And you don't have to post every day, even though the algorithm is gonna reward people who post every day. So we'll talk about it. And then you have to have the right positioning. And it's okay to shift your positioning, but once you have it, you want to stick to it. such that people understand what they can come to you for. Next slide. Imagine if 12 months from now, and it took me 12 months, it could be quicker, depending. I had to create my own path, I had to find my own ways, but in 12 months, I was finally able to crack my sweet spot, my content pillar, my audience, set up my CRMs and my systems, like evolve with my audience because people were looking for something and I want to make sure that I could offer it. Imagine 12 months from now, you become a brand authority. Depending on how you want to measure it, you get a better deal flow because of that. More clients, opportunities come to you, and then your career is accelerating. And for each one of you, put in the chat what would be an outcome that would get you 10x excited 12 months from now. It could be a number. Is it making $1 million? Is it getting 100 high value clients? What is it? I'd love to hear from you in the chat. Introducing the Brand Authority Accelerator. So we talked about the fact that Janelle wants to sell 100 homes on Auto. Ping the link to the homes. I want to see them. So as my son says, I want to see it. Getting at least 3 luxury brands who pay us for a service. Yes, I love it. I think it's amazing to start with a clear goal and selling exiting silence that AI. Ian is like, I'm ready to sell. I don't know where you are, Ian, but it's exciting. But those are clear goals, and we would even make them even more measurable, quantifiable. I want to sell Silenzi.ai for $30 million or 50 million, but I'll take 10. Getting at least 3 luxury brands who pay us for a service. How much do they pay you? And then selling 100 homes on Auto. So what does it mean in terms of dollars? I like to have very clear goals, and I like, as we talked about, focus on Neville Goddard's, the writer and philosopher, and almost a neuroscientist, if we could say, who always says to start with the end in mind. So starting with your goal, and then we can work back together. So I launched a Brand Authority Accelerator because all people came to me is like, how did you grow your podcast to the top 200 back in 2025? How did you grow your LinkedIn 6x? And I was like, I don't want to talk about my podcast. I don't want to talk about LinkedIn. But then I finally said, okay, I'll do it because that's what I used to do. So why don't I do it? And then I realized that it's really energizing to help people to follow that path, but save the time. I wish I had me back in 2022 when I hired firms to help me and they didn't know what they were doing. So it was kind of like I paid $1,500 a month and I didn't get what I was looking for. So that's a minimum of $600,000. Yeah, I like that. That's clear. So the Brand Authority Accelerator, what it is authority positioning, LinkedIn authority, and then strategic visibility. Focus 100% on LinkedIn. You can use that brand authority that you create everywhere else, but we start with LinkedIn because it's the high net worth individuals. And if you're selling a service that costs, you want to make sure that you find the right users who are going to be interested in what you're selling. So if we go to the next one, what do you get in the program? You get the content systems, which is important. How do you create 10 to 30 pieces of content? Like a list of topics you want to talk about. Because oftentimes in French, we talk about la page blanche, is you don't know what you're going to write. That used to be me. I was like, what am I going to post about today? And now I have like, I'm supposed to talk about Monday and Tuesday, it's AI and productivity. Wednesday and Thursday is career. And then Friday, we go on the lighter side. And then podcast, Saturday, Sunday, inspiration and neuroscience. So depending of what kind of personality you have, for me, sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm not sure what to do. So the fact that I have it organized in a spreadsheet, I know what I'm supposed to talk about. Now I'm farming stories. I'm farming stories from all my brand architecture that I've created. And then I decide, okay, this is what I'm going to work on. And depending if I have a lot of time, if I don't have time, I'm going to do an image post. So I have posts that I can put very quickly in there when I don't have the time. So if we go, we're going to fast forward because I know we only have 30 minutes and I want to make sure everybody is able to ask any top of mind questions because this is not about me, it's about you. So this is an example that I pulled from my own self. I wanted to figure out how do I evolve my positioning for Fortune 100 type of brand positioning. And I looked at multiple, like 15 layers. What is my identity? What is my brand positioning? What is the IP that I have or I could have? What is my authority domain, my perception? And then basically it scraped my LinkedIn and you can throw articles I have on Medium. I have also white papers. And then it helps me move from state A to state two. And then it really helps me understand what is my platform strategy and then what are the long-term assets I should be developing. So this is the kind of work that we would do together to make sure that we establish you as an authority in your niche. And some of what we looked at is I've navigated the Fortune 5,000 companies, but the Fortune 100 companies as well. I went from being overly anxious, I had posting anxiety, to now I'm posting from my hairdressers while she's pressing my hair. I'm like creating posts. So it's just like creating a lot of freedom and ease and be able to capture the leads that are coming through LinkedIn and having the right systems to do so. So let's go to the next one. Some analysis as well that was important is understanding how do I differentiate myself and how do you differentiate yourself versus what is really of strategic importance. How do I play where not all the players are playing? How do I create optionality? So in the authority content system, I always like to create a bubble map to understand what do I need to deconstruct in terms of people's beliefs and what patterns do I need to interrupt to help people read my stuff, but really stop scrolling. So let's go to the next one. And then I think the program is perfect for you if you want to grow your authority, expand opportunities, and build more visibility. Next slide. And some of the results that people have gotten is that they got, depending what they were looking for, title upgrade, new job offers. We don't have anybody that sold their company yet, to your point, Ian, but we have an example of, if we go to the next slide, of people hitting their stretch development goals. And that's why I like to start every program with a stretch goal. If it's like, I need to make 600,000 or like, I don't know, $6 million in sales. So how close or how far are you a year from now? Let's go to the next slide. And once you have a stretch goal, then it becomes more aggressive for you to be able to strive to that direction. So an example of a person who was in a program, so Ivana, she launched a six-figure, 40% margin business within a year, Playfield, and she signed a deal with Chewy.com. So that's an example of somebody who graduated. She wanted to develop her brand authority and starting with her confidence, and then she's been able to close deals on her own. Let's go to the next one. And we have had a lot of different results as well. So a lot of people came to us because they wanted to grow their fractional practice. And we have some participants in Singapore that was able to grow her fractional practice. We have two of them. And then we have an owner of a newsletter, Sarah, who became the voice of the creator and has grown her business 50%. So we've had a lot of different wins in the program and a lot of people from Accenture, Delta, also Google, because that's where I was coming from. And then for me personally is for me, it was speaking engagements, growing my business, and also getting sponsorships from AI brands. So I work with Synthesia, I work with Replit and other AI platforms in promoting their services as a brand ambassador. And of course, growing my business. So if we go to the next one. Now, how do we do it with LinkedIn? And that's where I want to hear your reactions. If we go to the next one after this one, I'm going to talk a little bit about how LinkedIn has evolved. So there's new rules of LinkedIn. I don't know if you've noticed, but the reach on LinkedIn has gone down 65%. Tell me in the chat if you've seen like a yes, there's been a drop in reach. What it means is that you used to post something in 2022, and then maybe you had 10,000 impressions, 20, 50,000, and now it's like 800 impressions. So I'm in different groups where people are like panicking. Oh my God, I lost my impressions. You've seen that as well, Janelle. And that's the challenge is how do you regain? Because if there's no eyeballs, how are you going to get new customers? And LinkedIn is making it harder for people to be able to get the eyeballs because they want to make money. I know I was selling ads on LinkedIn. So basically, and we were, what we call when you post something, it gives you the option to boost. And it's great that you can boost it. But the challenge is basically if you don't boost it, you don't get organic reach. So what it means is that you have to figure out how do you get the eyeballs, and that's the art and the science. The science is how do you get the eyeballs, and the art is how do you tell your story. So we see a performance gap that's massive. So the top 1% on LinkedIn are growing 157x faster than average. And the ones who are growing in the right niches are the ones who are able to get the leads. So follower growth is important, but it's down right now. And people are trying to figure out how do we grow. Then virality is capped. So for me, virality has never been a thing. I have a friend who's in the luxury fashion business. She went viral. She posted a video of two kids fighting. She got 10,000 likes. No business, no follower growth. And then after that, she stopped posting on LinkedIn. I said, of course. Listen, your average, the AOV, the average order value is $1,500. You're posting a video about kids fighting. People are going to love the video. But if you don't tie it back to your offer, what does it do? So you're getting eyeballs, but you're getting the wrong eyeballs. And that's why we're going to be very intentional about virality. It's not always helpful unless you're targeting the masses. Then, when we look at the content power law, this one is so important because you write, and you're like, I talked about my post was fund roulette growth. I thought it was a flop. But the reality is 90% of your views are going to come from 20% of your posts. I have one post that has 150,000 views, another one, 450,000 views. And then the rest, maybe 10,000, maybe 8,000. It depends. It's a long tail. So you have to have different ambitions for what is the role of each post. And that's what we work on. What is the architecture of your content schedule? To understand some posts, you're going to have no likes, nothing, but it's going to get you hired. And then some posts are going to go viral, but it's just going to get you eyeballs. So understanding what is the logic and the mathematics. And then the content is living longer. It's true. I mean, there is and there's no golden hour. We'll talk about the content golden hour. I like to post at 5:45 because I want to be able to capture Asia, Africa, Europe, Canada, and the US. But at the same time, when you post at 8 p.m., you also capture. Depending on what your business is, I think you have to figure out when you want to post, how you want to post, and match the art and the science. Let's go to the next one. So I want to make sure we open it up for questions. So we see that top 5% of creators comment 500% more than average. That's a lot. How many comments do you do every week? Tell me in the chat. Sarah, zero. Aucun. Janelle, not enough. Mais pas du tout. I comment at least 70 a day. Ian, barely. Well, 70. I have 70 a day. 70 is too, but I don't even have time to comment all of those on my post, plus some others. So there's a whole strategy. I call it the funnel. So basically, when you talk about finding your tribe, is understanding which people can you comment on in your complementary niches for the eyeballs. And then that's the upper funnel. The lower funnel is basically your ideal customer, the person who would buy your house, the house that you're selling, or give you that consulting contract. The challenge is the lower funnel, sometimes they don't post. You're going to see they're not active. My C levels, they're barely active. If they post. If they don't post, what do you do? So those are the things we talk about. And then the mid funnel, I just became exhausted thinking about. I have a virtual assistant who comments for me because I run a business. I don't have time to comment 70. It's going to lead you to burnout. But I think you don't have to comment 70 a day. So I'm sharing the stats of top 5% creators comment 500% more than average. You can aim for 150 comments per week to stay in the top tier. We could work on what is your commenting architecture and on your funnel, upper, mid, and lower. Lower for sales, upper for visibility, and then mid to be active in your niche of similar, let's say if you're Janelle and you're a real estate agent in your niche. And you can find virtual assistants who can do it. If you train them, they can do it for you. So then LinkedIn limits your daily comments to 90 posts. And that's why I wish I knew. Because basically, when I started in 2022, it's like you're supposed to log in 15 minutes before posting to warm up the feed. And I'm like, I don't have that kind of time. I'd rather be at the gym, right? I'd rather be at the gym. And now my posts go. I have that person who's going to comment before, comment during, and then my job is to write posts. And sometimes I comment from the Stairmaster because we want to be magnetic. So we want to stay in shape, be vibrant, and focus on our business. We can't be online all day. So you have a limit. If you go beyond this limit, you're going to be locked out. It happens to me. I don't always micromanage the people, and I can get locked out of LinkedIn. Just be careful. Then don't leave spammy AI comments. There's a lot of bots. There's nothing you can do about bots on your profile. Um, just when you comment, you want to add value, you want to be a human person, you want to be authentic, you want to build real relationships. So there's some groups that I comment myself, and then there's some groups that my virtual assistant comments. And then sometimes when I want to stand out, I'm going to comment with pictures and stories. I have animated GIFs. I have professional pictures of me. That's one way that you can get some impressions from other people's posts, but add quality comments such that it doesn't come out as spam. And why commenting is important, listen, you're going to comment on one creator, you're going to get 30,000 views, 5,000 views, 7,000 views, and your post is going to have 1,000 views. So that's why commenting, and that's the community that we talked about, it's a flywheel to help create more, bring more eyeballs to your profile. Don't get exhausted. We've got systems, girl. I got you. I'm just looking at Janelle's comment. I just became exhausted thinking about, I know. Okay, so I'm gonna go fast on this one so that you can ask anything you always wanted to know about LinkedIn. There's new LinkedIn rules in terms of formats. We talked about art, we talked about the science. In the end, you do whatever you want. But infographics perform better, which means that I could get 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 impressions on an infographic that people are going to like, and I'm going to get 25 reposts, which increases your reach, more eyeballs, more people to follow you. If the infographic is about your topic and what you're an expert at, it just helps you grow better and get out of your rut and get those eyeballs. That's how the top creators, they follow a formula. But again, you don't have to do it. I'm giving you the information. Carousels get 4x the reach. I had one carousel that got 100,000 impressions. Never understood why. People liked it. The topic was great. Gained 100 followers from that. And there's so many things you can do with LinkedIn. I changed my headline and I got 800 followers from changing my headline. And then we've developed a tool to be able to analyze your profile and help you optimize and test. And then you can also, as an expert, you can have longer conversational posts. If you're somebody like Amal, who has in-depth expertise in a topic, and for her it was AI ethics, she can write 3,000 character posts. And we see that they perform 38% better because LinkedIn is going to see, this person probably has authority, especially if you don't write it like leveraging 100% AI. If you take the time to rewrite it in a very articulate way, you put stats and then paragraphs. Posts with fewer than 7 paragraphs performs 74% worse. So that's why this is the science. I don't want to spend too much time there because it becomes very technical, but it's all about figuring out how do you mix these formats as you evolve. The most important thing is first to understand what is your story, the bubbles that we talked about, your UVP, your unique value proposition, create those stories together, and then figuring out how do you tell the story in different formats such that there can be more traction around your profile. Who do you interact with? So personal stories are always the best hook. That's what's working right now on LinkedIn. And then you have to write at a fourth and to seventh grade level. And that's because most people read at that level. Even the PhD people, when you write in a simpler words, it helps them just absorb your content and be able to comment and react quicker versus talking to a very small niche of experts, which is not going to help you get the eyeballs. And then weekend posts often perform better. This one is funny because when I started, Sunday was my day. Sunday was Cat's day. I would post my, and then it would go a lot of impressions. I was so excited because I didn't post much, but I took on Sundays to post, and the big creators were not there, so I could get all the traction. Those are some tips and tricks. So let's move on to the next one. Next slide, Bianca. Okay, I'm gonna skip this one because this is all about the different tactics. So it's a bit what we talked about in terms of what formats are gonna help increase your reach from carousel, infographics, motivational quotes, images, videos, and then text only. I think you should use all the formats, but it depending, are you on growth mode? Are you on sales mode? Are you on engagement mode? Let's go to the next one. And then now I want to make sure that if you want to talk more, you can book a 15-minute free call with me to chat about what exactly is top of mind for you. How can I help you become the best kept secret? And we're going to go to the next one after that where I have an intensive weekend. A lot of people are very busy. So what I created a very easy format. It's normally, I make it quick and easy for a very small group of people to work with me. Not everybody has 10 weeks. Sometimes they want 10 hours. So this is 10 hours, Saturday, April 11th and 12th from 8 a.m. I have to change that screenshot, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. because we have people from Europe. And it's 597, but you get 50% off when you're on this call. And that's the exclusive for people who join the masterclass. And what we do, it's a mini version of what we talked about today, where we work on, I have developed, my team and I have developed our own AI tool to help create your brand authority pillars. And then we work together to bring it to a place that's workable, that you can have a calendar for 10 posts, 30 posts, topics you're going to talk about. We're going to have also deep dives to look at what is your unique writing style, what is your voice. So if we go to the next slide, and that's going to help you understand what exactly you can do to be able to grow your LinkedIn, reach your audience, and really get started because it takes time. I've been in the game since 2022. So it's been 4 years now, but it's really in the last year that everything exploded, understanding what works, what doesn't work. And when you're not a C-level, the C-levels I work with, they had agencies and they paid $30,000 a month. So it was $300,000 a year plus 260,000 a year from an agency, created different types of content and formats. I'm giving it for you at a very reduced price to help you get started because I believe this is the moment for us to build a brand. And then if you can become the next authority, then we can all flock and elevate together. So if we go to the next slide, here we go. So now I want to make sure that I can take any questions that you might have around this, the brand authority system or LinkedIn. And I'll also, what I'll do is I'll ping the links in the chat such that you can have more information about what exactly we're going to talk about. So we have the weekend intensive here. So put in the chat if you are interested in the intensive, right? Intensive. Oh, Janelle has raised her hand. Hello, Janelle.
Hey, thank you so much for taking the time to spend with us today and go over all of that. That was like a ton of information. So I
Is it
really,
too much?
no, it was perfect. It's just there's so much to learn on LinkedIn. It's absolutely mind-boggling. It's just emoji with a
It's a
brand.
lot, and I feel bad for like I was lucky because I was like an insider and then became an
Yeah,
outsider and then but then it worked. So it's
yeah.
just and a lot of people are gonna sell you a lot of things and it's like it's overwhelming.
It can be, but I'm thankful that, I came across you and we have an opportunity to figure it out together, or for me to follow you and what you figured out from being inside and then outside. I just have a couple questions for you. The
Yeah,
first one is, how many people do you recommend that we create our tribe around on LinkedIn?
I mean, it depends what you can chew.
Okay.
So think about the challenge is that think about you can do 90 maximum comments, or the platform is going to block you. They're going to say you're using a tool, etc. You have 90 maximum a day, right?
No, no,
You,
no. There's absolutely no way I can do that many comments, but I'm asking about like how many people, as far as profiles, should I
I'd
like
I'd
assign
start with
to my
30.
call tribe? Mm-hmm.
I would start with 30. I would start with a small group
Okay.
of five and then
Yeah.
build so the upper, the mid, and the lower, right? So there's your customers, and those you always want to engage with them
Okay.
because your customers, like you're targeting real estate agents, correct?
Yeah.
Or home buyers. So let's say you
No,
target both.
so it's a B2B for me because I'm with a
Mhm.
developer. So my customer is the realtor.
Okay. So
Hmm.
listen, I would comment on that would be like maybe even 40% of the people I would comment on with high value comments that are authentic coming from your voice. And you can train someone to do that because a couple of things, right? Everybody likes to like a comment, especially as we shared, like it's hard to stand out on the platform right now. So
Hmm.
it's always fun to have somebody commenting and giving you attention. So people are
Hmm.
gonna,
Yeah.
most people, they might even reciprocate eventually, but they don't. Like I wouldn't count on that. I think
Yeah.
first be top of mind for them by
Yeah.
commenting on their profile. And
Like 30 people in that sphere to begin with, because I think I've already reached the five people.
yeah, I wouldn't say 30 is a lot.
Okay.
It depends what you plan to. Are you planning to comment like throughout the days, not every day, but like, so I would say 15 people. Let's say you have 30, 15 would be your core, what we
Uh-huh.
call ICP, your
Yeah.
customer profile, your ideal customer profile. Because there's two
Yeah.
things. There's the comments, but there's also the DMs.
Yeah. So I have an AI tool for DMs with my ICP, the list. Okay. So
Does it
that
sound good? Because a lot of AI, like I'm so like
I
my
wrote it
inbox is full.
myself. I
Okay.
write the messages myself. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. 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 So it's not like talking to them. It's just kind of pre-programmed and then it just sends it out for me.
Okay.
So that's and I am registered for your 2 day. My next question was, I know that your 10-week boot camp is also coming up in April. Do you do that once a year or like will you do it again in the fall?
Maybe in 6 months. I think I'm
Okay.
gonna, yeah, I think I'm
Like
gonna
every
do,
6 months.
yeah, I think probably in 6 months I'm gonna do another one.
Hmm.
Um, See how this is gonna be the first one.
Oh,
Uh,
okay, cool.
this is my first one because everybody kept nagging me. So I want one for a podcast, one for LinkedIn. I'm like, I'm not doing one for the podcast. Come to the LinkedIn, I'll tell you about the podcast, but I'm like,
Yeah.
this is non-negotiable. I'm not doing it. I launched it because there was a lot of pressure. People really wanted it. So
Yeah.
because the story is that I've been advising since 2022 one-on-one
Hmm.
with some of C levels, but I just did
Hmm.
one-on-one, and one-on-one is not always scalable. So I
Right.
decided I'm going to take a small group of people, do a cohort with them, and help them elevate. And it's going to be like 2 calls plus a week. So like we're gonna go review, rewrite, and do all the things together and work. Like you're gonna have a lot. Those people are gonna have a lot of attention. The
Yeah.
weekends is because not everybody, and that program is 3K for
Right.
10 weeks. And you get
Yeah.
access to the AI tool, to all my templates, etc., and to me,
Hmm.
plus my assistants, my team,
Yep.
marketing coordinator. So, but it's not everybody that has 3K. So I started the weekend because my friends were
Hmm.
like, well, it's not always accessible. I really need to get
Hmm.
started, but I don't have 3K. I was like, okay, I'll do a weekend thing. So
Yeah.
that's the
I
start.
mean, I work every weekend because I sell real estate. I have registered for that class. I won't be there unfortunately, but so I'll have to do the replays.
Okay.
But yeah, and I don't foresee myself making it to the 10-week boot camp in April, but I'll aim to do the one you'll have next time. So those are the two questions I had. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. We'll keep you posted on the next one. And then
Hmm.
Sarah, you're saying you can't do it on Saturdays. So if you can't do it on Saturdays, we would have to do, then there would be the accelerator. Um, I haven't thought about doing an intensive on the week because I don't even know
Mm.
what time I would do an intensive in the week. So it's
I'd be
those are like,
available on Sundays. It's just that I keep Shabbat, so I don't work on Saturdays.
oh, I used
Um,
to do Shabbat.
really?
Yeah. I was a 7 day Adventist a long time ago.
Oh, so nice. We have
Yeah.
so much in common. We should meet.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Uh,
so Saturdays and Sunday, but then Shabbat ends. It's Friday night to Saturday night in Europe.
yeah.
So and then yeah, Sunday 8 a.m. PDT to Paris time. Yeah, we're gonna give the recording, but then it would mean that you would need the recording to watch the recording. So the
Mhm.
weekend, how it works is you have pre-work, right? So your
Mhm.
pre-work is that you have to take all the articles you ever wrote. You get access to our AI tool. You're gonna run all of your intelligence through the tool to create your brand, your first
Mhm.
footprint of blueprint of your brand architecture. So you have to come and you're gonna have a workbook. You come with your homework done on Saturday.
Mhm.
And then on
Mhm.
Saturday, we go through the curriculum. Did I paste the link? I'm not a good multitasker.
I think you did.
Okay. I don't know, Bianca, if you want to share your screen and scroll down. Anywho, so basically, if you would want to come after Shabbat, you would have to do the pre-work and then watch the recording and then join us on Sunday and look at the schedule. That would be, I haven't created
Okay.
any non-weekend ones. I just,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, I'll think about it definitely. Just wanted to thank you so much for that very informative session. I did have a question if I can
Yeah, of
ask.
course. We still have time.
Okay, great. So the kind of business that I do is that um so we're a team of 4 people across, the US and France, Paris. And basically, we started as selling pieces of art to high net worth individuals.
Okay.
We created a gallery, opened a gallery in a 5-star hotel at the Fremont in San Diego. And then we realized that art was so niche that it was really hard to um, have a viable business by just selling pieces of art to individuals.
Hmm.
So we decided to pivot the strategy. And instead of having our clients as these high net worth individuals, we would target businesses. So we moved from B2C to B2B. And what we want to do now is sell our service, which is creating immersive art activations, but not for individuals and having us to reach for these high net worth individuals, but directly having the luxury brand pay us for that service, and then they can bring on their clients. Um,
Okay.
my question is, how do we market that and use social media for B2B? Is LinkedIn and so for me, TikTok, Instagram is more for luxury brands and that
Hmm.
immersive space. Is LinkedIn relevant? Because you said that's where all the high net worth individuals are. So
Yeah.
should we post on LinkedIn? Is that relevant?
So those are the like LinkedIn, they might go to better themselves, and part of bettering yourself is the knowledge that you're gonna gain, right? So it's gonna be like they're gonna read articles, etc. If while they're reading articles, they come across the art piece in the story that you share and how you position the art, the story of the artist, they might follow and be very interested in the topic. So you could create a tribe of people who are passionate about the luxury art that you sell, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have art at home. I've always had art. Um,
Mm-hmm.
where do I discover my art? Everywhere and nowhere. So it's
Mm-hmm.
basically, and you need to have 12 touch points. People need to have 12 touch points with your brand before they convert, before they buy. So I don't think LinkedIn is a bad place to be there because you tap into the P firm, VC firms, CXOs, all the art lovers and people who actually have money. For example, the chief communication officer of Pinterest, Malik Dukar, is a big art collector. He
Mm-hmm.
lives in Baldwin Hills in LA, right? So he's on LinkedIn, he posts about Pinterest. So how do you engage there? And I think the
Mm-hmm.
question for me, for you, from me is how is TikTok and IG, how are they converting in terms of getting deals,
So
buyers, etc.?
we don't have TikTok yet, but we should. I just don't want to get into TikTok because it's addictive and I don't want to be the one managing that. I would want to, have, generate some money so that I can delegate that stuff.
Hmm.
Um, Instagram, it's not really converting well. It's not. We have amazing photos and videos and reels that has been taken professional with all the art activations that we have. We've been spending the last year building up our portfolio so that we have something to show.
Yeah.
But quite frankly, the collaborations that I've been able to have was not on Instagram. It was not through social media. It was through real interactions, me going to all these networking events, talking about what I do. And that's how I created collaborations. So for me
Yeah.
on my side, nothing was made through social media when it comes to finding the clients. When it comes to finding the artists, yes, you can spot and find artists in Instagram, but that's not the hard work, right? It's to
Yeah.
find who's willing to pay.
So what I would say is offline is always important, right? You can't just live online. I would do LinkedIn, but you have to do it in a way that the art lovers follow and are excited. I used to follow a pianist on LinkedIn. Um,
Mm-hmm.
he was just this prodigy. I don't know why he's not showing on the feed because LinkedIn is impressions are down. So so I would be so excited when he would pop up on my feed because there's not a lot of pianists on LinkedIn because people are like, oh,
Sure.
this is not the place I should be. But I definitely would do it through your profiles, all the people who are, and talk about like just figuring out your content pillars, how you talk about it. Can you, I know art because of the intellectual property is particular, so I don't know if you want to put pictures of it or, so I think there are good stories you could share on LinkedIn
Mm-hmm.
because I do think it's the where the I network. People
Mm-hmm.
are the family offices, the like all the people who love
That's
art are
true.
on LinkedIn. Yeah. So
It's
it's
true.
so you
I
need
have
12
this
touch
client.
points, so it's everywhere on the internet. So you're gonna need the touch points and LinkedIn has the people with $1 million net worth. So
All right, sounds good. I had a final question. So I know that personal storytelling, showing your face is really important on social media, especially with all the Gen AI where content is just purely generated by Gen AI. People want truth and authenticity, and that's how when you share your story, right? Like Gen AI cannot generate a story of your own. You only own your story, so that's what gets people in. I don't want my brand to be my personal brand. I want my brand to stand on its own. I don't want, for some reason, it doesn't do good to me to put my face out there and to um, be so vulnerable. It's not something that I want to share with my clients.
mhm.
Um, how do I do that? Is it possible to have a brand that's not a personal brand?
Yeah. I mean it's you can you have the artist. You could tell the story of the artist
Yeah.
with their picture. Are they okay with? Because that's even
Yeah.
more powerful.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you're selling, so what, right?
Yeah.
What about the journey of the artist?
Mm.
And the thing
It's
is, I mean, I put selfies just for fun, but it's not recommended to put selfies. It's recommended to put pictures. I mean, I do whatever I want at this point. I don't care. But I will tell you what you should do and what you shouldn't do. Don't do what I do. Um, you should put, it works better. And I'm not just in the game of working better. I'm also there because I'm having a lot of fun doing that. Um, show the artist doing what they do, doing their thing, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
have the artists do their thing.
Mhm.
If are they arting, are they painting, are they, I don't know, is it 4 a.m. and they're like,
Mhm.
so it's more about
Yeah.
the what is the process of think about becoming Michelle Obama. What is the process
Mhm.
of becoming
Mhm.
artist X? What brought
Mhm.
that person to become X? So the same thing we talked about. So then you
Mhm.
can, that's the brand authority of the artist. So, but I think it's anything is possible. It's just you gotta crack it, and then you gotta be
Mhm.
try different things, and it's like, Listen, it
Yeah.
takes time. I'm not gonna lie. It takes time to crack. And that's why now I'm like, hey, the selfie worked. I don't care if I'm not supposed to put the selfie. I'm happy and I had a new haircut. So I'm just gonna do it. And they like it. So who
Good
cares?
for you. I
Yeah, I
love
have a
it.
girlfriend, all she does is selfies and some like three-line quotes. You do you, and she gets speaking engagement. So you all that's also part of your unique voice. You have to do you. So Ian and
Mhm.
Eric, I haven't heard back from you. So I don't know if Ian Silenze.ai, if there was any questions or thoughts before we wrap it up.
No, this has been super helpful. I've only been learning LinkedIn in the past couple months, so all the stuff you shared is super. I mean, it, those rules and the different things that you shared, that's some things that I'll take back and kind of memorialize and try to embed in the tool and see how things go. But we're not creating something that's totally robotic. A lot of what you said, we're going to try to build in the personal rules where it's not. It looks like it came from myself or a person. Is we're putting a lot of effort there. So,
That's the goal. That's always the goal. Awesome. And I'm missing one link that I'm supposed to put in my amazing multitasking skills. Here we go. Here we go. If you have any questions about anything, just let me know. But it was nice to meet everyone. And I'll follow you on LinkedIn and make sure that, Janelle, I'm going to see you at the training. I don't think I have your registration. I don't think I have you on the training on Saturday. Yeah, I don't think I have you
Oh,
on
I
there.
was sorry because I do like also, well, I'm not so good at multitasking, but I still do it a lot. So I'll take care of it. Yeah, I plan to be there. I'm planning to be there.
Okay,
But
cool.
but I won't actually physically be there because, on the weekends I'm at the sales model.
Yeah. You have to sell the houses. That's when the
Yeah.
open houses happen with the cookies.
Yeah, but it's a little different because it's a developer.
Oh, okay.
It's not like a resale. Yeah. I'm in a subdivision and I have to sell all the houses.
I mean, it's a fun B2B play.
Yeah, it is. It is. But I do plan to be there. Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone. I hope you have a good rest of your week. If you have any questions, just ping. Okay?
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
thank you. Bye.